Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to hear me loud and clear. This is your time. You see, too often we waste energy trying to prove ourselves to people who don't even matter. But today, I want to remind y'all, focus on yourself and stay silent, because silence isn't weakness. It's strength under control. It's the fire that burns quietly while you build, grow, and rise. The world doesn't need your noise. How we get stuck. It needs your results. Don't chase applause. Chase purpose. Don't explain, execute. You've got greatness in you. But it starts with tuning out the world and tuning into you. Let's go. In a world constantly demanding attention, praise, and validation, it's easy to lose ourselves in the noise of other people's opinions. We post to be liked, speak to be heard, and often act to be approved. But when you spend your life chasing applause, you risk building your identity on a shaky foundation, one that crumbles the moment the claps stop. That's why prioritizing personal growth over external validation isn't just wise. It's essential, because validation is temporary, but growth is permanent. How your value doesn't lie in someone else's recognition. It lies in the quiet, consistent work you do when no one's watching. Focusing on personal growth means choosing to develop your mindset, your character, your discipline, day after day, moment after moment. It's about being honest with yourself, asking, am I better than I was yesterday? Instead of asking, do they like me? You see, when you rely on external validation, you hand over the remote control of your emotions to other people. One bad comment ruins your day. One overlooked effort makes you feel invisible. But when you build from within, when your sense of worth is rooted in your own progress, no one can take that away from you. People often seek validation because they're unsure of their path, their decisions, or even their identity. And in that uncertainty, they reach outward, hoping someone else will affirm what they can't yet see in themselves. But the truth is, nobody can give you what you won't give yourself. You've got to validate your own effort. You've got to clap for yourself when nobody shows up. Because if you're always waiting for a crowd, and you'll never get started. And growth doesn't wait for applause. It waits for commitment. Personal growth is messy. It's uncomfortable. It means facing the parts of you that aren't pretty and working on them anyway. It means choosing to read a book instead of scrolling through your feed. It means working out when no one's watching, showing up when no one claps, and pushing forward even when the results are slow. Growth requires discipline, sacrifice, and patience. But most of all, it requires you to be okay with being misunderstood, unseen, and underestimated for a while. That's why staying silent while you grow is so powerful. Not everyone deserves to witness your process. Some people won't understand your silence. They'll mistake it for weakness, when in fact it's strength under construction. While they're making noise, you're making moves. While they're seeking likes, how you're building a life. And when your results finally speak, you won't have to explain a thing. The truth is, personal growth will often take you away from the crowd. But that isolation, that solitude, that's where transformation happens. When you prioritize your growth, you stop living on the emotional roller coaster of praise and criticism. You begin to develop internal confidence, one that doesn't need to be fed constantly to survive. You start to focus on what truly matters, your goals, your peace, your vision, and something incredible happens. You begin to outgrow your need for validation. You no longer seek it because you no longer need it. You're not performing anymore. You're evolving. You're not chasing approval. You're chasing purpose. So let them wonder. Let them question your silence. Let them talk. Because while they're busy watching each other, you're busy working on yourself. And that right there is how you win. Not with noise, but with growth. Not with validation, but with quiet, relentless self-improvement. You don't need a stage to become great. You need discipline, direction, and a decision to prioritize who you are becoming over who they think you are. Keep growing. Keep going. The results will speak for themselves. Most people misunderstand silence. They see it as a lack of confidence, as if saying less means you know less. But the truth is, silence is a powerful strategy. It's not about being timid. It's about being intentional. When you learn to hold your tongue, to keep your plans close, and to move quietly. You take control of your narrative. You stop reacting to every opinion, every rumor, every distraction. You learn to respond instead of react. Silence gives you the space to think clearly, to plan effectively, and to act decisively without interference from the noise around you. When you stay silent, you are not surrendering your power. You are protecting it. You are conserving your energy for the things that matter instead of scattering it to prove a point or defend your choices. Because the more you explain yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you, the less time you spend actually building your vision. Not everyone deserves access to your thoughts, your emotions, or your plans. Silence becomes your filter. It separates those who genuinely care from those who are just curious. It keeps you focused on what's real and shields you from what's irrelevant. Many people feel an almost compulsive need to announce their next move, to declare their intentions, or to showcase every achievement. But sometimes the best progress happens in private. When you keep your goals to yourself, you prevent outside opinions from diluting your focus. You don't invite doubt or envy into your sacred process. You stay rooted in your purpose, unmoved by applause or criticism. Silence allows you to protect the integrity of your work until it's ready to be revealed. Because once you speak something into the world, it becomes vulnerable to judgment and interference. Silence is also a test of emotional maturity. It takes strength to listen without interrupting, to observe without reacting, and to wait without becoming impatient. When you are silent, you learn far more about other people than you ever could by speaking. You notice their intentions, their insecurities, their motives. You begin to read between the lines. In that quiet observation, you gain an advantage, knowledge that empowers you to navigate relationships and opportunities with wisdom instead of impulse. How using silence as a strategy means you don't give everyone the blueprint to your next level. You don't broadcast every idea before it's fully formed. You don't argue with people who thrive on drama or conflict. You simply keep moving forward, letting your actions speak on your behalf. Because ultimately, results are louder than words. You don't have to prove anything when your growth becomes undeniable. Silence becomes the space where your discipline takes root and your purpose grows strong. It's important to understand that silence doesn't mean passivity. It doesn't mean you lack opinions, dreams, or confidence. It means you are smart enough to know when to share and when to hold back. It means you trust yourself enough to stay committed even when nobody is watching or validating your journey. It means you respect your own process. How do we get stuck? When you embrace silence, you are free from the constant pressure to perform. You stop living for approval and you start living for fulfillment. In a world addicted to noise, silence is an act of rebellion. It's a declaration that you will not be fined by other people's expectations or distracted by their opinions. It's a commitment to yourself, to stay true to your purpose, to honor your own timing, and to protect your peace. Because peace is priceless. And it often requires you to walk away from arguments, to disengage from gossip, and to trust that you don't need to explain your worth. When you understand that silence is a strategy, you become more powerful than you ever imagined. How do we get stuck? You realize you don't need to announce your greatness. You just need to embody it. You don't need to tell the world you're working. You just need to keep working. And when the time is right, your results will speak volumes. Until then, let your silence be your sanctuary, your shield, and your most powerful move. Talk is cheap. Words can inspire, but without action, they fade into empty promises. In a world where everyone has something to say, what sets you apart is not your voice, but your movement, your consistency, your results, your discipline. Let your actions speak louder than your words. Because in the end, people remember what you did, not what you said you do. It's easy to post a quote, make a declaration, or talk about goals. But what really matters is whether you follow through, and whether you show up when it's hard, and whether you keep going when no one's watching. Every time you act on your purpose, instead of just talking about it, you build credibility with yourself and with others. You prove that you're not just full of ambition, you're full of commitment. You stop trying to convince people of your value and instead you show them people respect results. They notice when you're disciplined. They pay attention when you produce, when you execute, when you transform ideas into reality. Because the loudest noise you can ever make is success. And success doesn't shout. It shows up. When you let your actions do the talking, you stop needing to defend your dreams. You no longer waste energy explaining yourself to people who don't understand your vision. You don't need their validation because your work speaks for itself. A strong work ethic, relentless effort, and unwavering discipline will always make more impact than any speech or explanation ever could. Your grind, your persistence, your consistency, these things make a statement that words simply can't match. This doesn't mean you shouldn't speak at all, but it means that your speech should always be backed by evidence. If you say you're dedicated, let your schedule show it. If you say you're focused, let your results prove it. If you say you want change, then change something. Too many people spend their time selling a version of themselves they haven't earned. They talk about hustle, but don't move. They talk about sacrifice, but keep choosing comfort. But when you live your truth in action, when your habits align with your goals, you earn a respect that no words can fake. Letting your actions speak also builds self-respect. Every time you show up for yourself, you prove that you can be trusted with your own dreams, your own goals, your own life. And that trust is the foundation of confidence. You don't get confidence from praise. You get it from showing yourself what you're capable of. Again and again, in silence, in struggle, in sacrifice, you begin to build quiet power, the kind that doesn't need to be advertised. The kind that doesn't seek attention because it already knows its worth. It's easy to get caught up in wanting people to understand your journey, but most won't until they see the outcome, and that's okay. You're not here to explain every step. You're here to walk it, to build something real, to grow even when it's hard, to wake up early, stay up late, and push through when motivation runs dry, because the result of disciplined action is undeniable success. And that's the kind of success that silences every doubt, every critic, every hater. When you understand this, you begin to move differently. You stop trying to announce every move and start focusing on making real moves. You stop competing with noise and start creating impact. You stop selling potential and start delivering results. That's how you win, not through talking, not through trying to be seen, but through doing the work when it's boring, when it's hard, when it's lonely. That's how you gain respect, how you earn your place, how you prove, not just to others, but to yourself, that you are who you say you are. Let your actions be the evidence. Let your effort be the statement. Let your consistency be the loudest voice in the room. Because when words fall short, when opinions fade, when the noise dies down, your results will still be standing. And they will speak for you louder than you ever could. Your energy is your most valuable currency. It fuels your focus, your growth, your discipline, and your peace. And yet, far too often, we give it away carelessly to distractions, to drama, to people who drain more than they pour. Protecting your energy isn't selfish, it's necessary. It's not about isolation, it's about intention. When you choose to focus inward, you take responsibility for what you allow into your space, your mind, and your heart. You start to understand that not everything deserves your attention, not every battle deserves your reaction, and not every voice deserves your ear. Focusing inward means becoming aware of your emotional and mental state and learning how to manage it from within instead of depending on outside sources to make you feel whole, happy, or motivated. You stop looking outward for answers and start developing the inner strength to navigate challenges on your own terms. You begin to prioritize your peace over being right, your growth over being liked, and your vision over being understood. That kind of focus doesn't come from noise. It comes from stillness, from clarity, from choosing to be centered rather than scattered. Every time you let yourself get pulled into unnecessary conversations, pointless comparisons, or energy-draining relationships, you step further away from your purpose. That's why protecting your energy is so important. It keeps you aligned with your goals and grounded in your values. It's not about building walls to keep the world out. It's about creating boundaries that keep you in control of your path. Stuck. Boundaries don't push people away. They protect the version of you that you're becoming. Focusing inward allows you to hear your own voice without the distortion of external opinions. It helps you reconnect with what actually matters. What do you want? What do you believe in? What kind of life are you trying to build? The answers to those questions don't come from social media or gossip or small talk. They come from silence, from reflection, from time spent alone, checking in with yourself and realigning your direction. That internal clarity gives you the strength to walk away from distractions and say no to things that don't serve you. You begin to realize that your energy is not infinite. Every choice you make either fuels your future or drains your potential. So you stop chasing people who don't see your worth. You stop arguing with those committed to misunderstanding you. You stop trying to prove yourself in rooms where you were never meant to be in the first place. Instead, you redirect that energy into yourself, your health, your mindset, your habits, your dreams. You pour into yourself so you can pour into the things that matter. Focusing inward isn't about being closed off. How do we get stuck? It's about being selective. It's about moving with purpose instead of pressure. It's about knowing that your presence is a gift and you don't have to give it to every situation or every person. When you learn to protect your energy, you stop living reactively and start living intentionally. You make better decisions. You create stronger boundaries. You become more patient, more disciplined, more in control. Not because life gets easier, but because your focus gets sharper. Your energy is sacred. Guard it like your future depends on it, because it does. There will always be noise, negativity, and distractions trying to pull you away from your peace. But when your focus is inward, when your foundation is strong, the outside world loses its power over you. You become unshakable, not because nothing affects you, because you choose where your energy flows. And where your energy flows, your life grows. So protect it, honor it. Focus inward, stay centered, and let everything you built from that place reflect the strength and clarity you've cultivated within.